There is a silent difference between wealthy men and everyone else. It isn't their clothes. It isn't the car. It isn't even the money. It's their relationship with approval. The average man wakes up wondering, what will people think? The wealthy man wakes up wondering, what needs to get done? One lives for applause. The other lives for results. The moment you stop needing everyone's approval is the moment you become dangerous. Because approval is expensive. It costs dreams. It costs confidence. It costs opportunities. And sometimes it costs an entire lifetime. Today we're talking about why rich men never chase approval and why you shouldn't either. Part 1. Approval is a form of poverty. Every person wants acceptance. That's normal, but there's a line between healthy relationships and living for validation. Many men spend years trying to impress people who don't even like themselves, buying expensive shoes, posting fake lifestyles, working jobs they hate, dating people to look successful. Everything becomes performance, not purpose. Wealthy men understand something simple. Money follows value, not popularity. The richest entrepreneur isn't necessarily the most liked. The richest investor isn't trying to win everyone's opinion. The richest creator isn't making content to please every viewer. They're solving problems, because problems pay. Approval doesn't. Part 2. People change their opinions every day. Think about it. People praised you yesterday, ignored you today. They'll criticize you tomorrow. Public opinion changes faster than the weather. If your confidence depends on people, your confidence will always be unstable. Rich men build their identity on principles, not opinions, because opinions have no market value. Execution does. Part 3. The need to be liked makes you weak. When you need approval, you stop saying no. You avoid difficult conversations. You undercharge. You tolerate disrespect. You stay in bad relationships. You fear failure. Why? Because rejection feels like death. Rich men understand rejection is information, nothing more. Every no moves them closer to the right yes. They don't personalize rejection. They learn from it. Part 4. Confidence is built in private. Most people want public praise. Rich men focus on private discipline. Nobody applauds. The early mornings, the late nights, the failed businesses, the investments that didn't work, the books read, the skills learned. Yet those invisible actions create visible wealth. Confidence isn't built by compliments. It's built by keeping promises to yourself. Every workout completed, every business call made, every difficult task finished. Those moments create unshakable confidence. Part 5. Rich men think long-term. Approval gives instant pleasure. Wealth requires delayed gratification. Most people want to look rich today. Rich men want to become wealthy forever. One buys status. The other buys assets. One spends to impress. The other invests to grow. There's a huge difference. The crowd laughs when you start. The crowd watches when you succeed. The crowd copies when you become successful. Never let the crowd decide your direction. Part 6. Silence is power. Notice something about successful men. Many move quietly. They don't announce every plan. They don't debate strangers online. They don't explain every decision. Why? Because explanations are often requests for approval. Results speak louder than arguments. You don't have to convince everyone you're winning. Just keep winning. Silence protects focus. Focus builds wealth. Part 7. Money rewards certainty. Investors trust certainty. Customers trust certainty. Employees follow certainty. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's clarity. Rich men know what they stand for. They know their goals. They know their standards. When you constantly ask people what they think, you lose your own voice. The marketplace rewards people who make decisions, not those who wait for permission. Part 8. The crowd has never built greatness. The crowd loves comfort. Great men love growth. If you ask 10 people whether you should start a business, most will tell you to keep your job. If you ask people whether you should invest, they'll tell you it's risky. If you ask whether you should chase an ambitious dream, they'll remind you of everyone who failed. Why? Because people answer from their own fears, not from your potential. The majority has always been comfortable with average. History wasn't written by people who followed the crowd. It was written by people who walked away from it. Every millionaire was once considered unrealistic. Every inventor was called crazy. Every visionary looked foolish before success made sense. If your decisions require everyone's approval, you'll always live an ordinary life. Part 9. Rich men don't compete for attention. Attention is cheap. Value is expensive. Many people spend hours trying to go viral. Successful men spend hours becoming valuable. One man spends money to look successful. Another spends time building skills. Guess which one wins in the long run? Attention fades. Competence compounds. The richest people aren't trying to impress strangers. They're trying to solve bigger problems. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger your reward. That's why they spend more time learning than showing, more time creating than posting, more time building than talking. Part 10. Your self-worth is not your net worth. Money doesn't make a man valuable. Character does. Discipline does. Integrity does. A rich man who loses money can build it again. Why? Because the money wasn't the source. He was. Skills remain. Knowledge remains. Experience remains. Confidence remains. If your confidence comes from possessions, you'll panic whenever they're gone. If your confidence comes from who you've become, nothing can truly take it away. Build yourself first. The money follows. Part 11. They protect their energy. Every conversation costs energy. Every argument costs focus. Every unnecessary opinion steals attention. Rich men guard their mental space like it's money, because it is. Imagine carrying a bucket of water through the desert. Would you pour it out to prove a point? No. Your focus is the same. Stop wasting it on people determined to misunderstand you. Silence saves energy. Energy creates progress. Part 12. Failure doesn't need an apology. Most people are embarrassed by failure. Successful men expect it. Every failed investment teaches something. Every rejected proposal sharpens your approach. Every mistake becomes tuition. The poor fear embarrassment. The wealthy fear stagnation. Failure isn't your identity. It's feedback. The only people who never fail, never try. Part 13. Discipline replaces motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is dependable. Some mornings you'll feel unstoppable. Other mornings you'll feel exhausted. Rich men don't negotiate with feelings. They follow systems. They wake up. They work. They improve, whether they feel like it or not. Consistency beats intensity. Every single time. Part 14. They don't explain their standards. A man with standards doesn't debate them. He lives them. If someone disrespects him, he leaves. If a business partner lies, he walks away. If a deal violates his values, he declines. Standards don't need speeches. They need action. The people who belong in your life will respect them. The people who don't were never meant to stay. Part 15. Envy is the price of success. The higher you climb, the fewer people celebrate. Success exposes insecurity in others. Some people don't dislike your success. They dislike what it reminds them about themselves. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't apologize for growing. A tree never asks permission to become taller. Neither should you. Part 16. They invest in their mind first. Before they invest in businesses, they invest in themselves. Books, mentors, courses, experience, skills appreciate. Knowledge compounds. The greatest investment isn't a stock. It's the mind making the investment. Once your thinking changes, your income eventually follows. Part 17. Patience creates fortunes. Everyone wants fast money. Few want slow wealth. The strongest oak wasn't built overnight. Neither is lasting success. Rich men understand compound growth. Small improvements. Every day. Every week. Every year. Eventually, the results appear dramatic. Not because of one big moment, but because of thousands of small ones. Part 18. They choose respect over popularity. Popularity depends on agreement. Respect depends on consistency. People respect the man who keeps his word, who shows up, who remains calm, who leads under pressure. You don't need everyone to like you. You need people to trust you. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity creates wealth. Part 19. the ultimate freedom. Real wealth isn't private jets. It's options. The option to say no. The option to walk away. The option to spend time with family. The option to choose meaningful work. The option to live by your own values. Approval chains you to other people's opinions. Freedom cuts those chains. And that's why rich men never chase approval, because the richest man in the room isn't always the one with the biggest bank account. Sometimes it's simply the man who no longer needs anyone's permission to live the life he has chosen. Conclusion: stop asking for permission. Here's the truth. Nobody is coming to approve your dreams. Nobody will officially declare that you're ready. Nobody will hand you confidence. You build it, brick by brick, decision by decision, action by action. The people who doubted you won't pay your bills. The people who criticized you won't build your future. The people who laughed won't create your legacy. Only you can do that. So stop chasing approval. Start chasing mastery. Stop chasing validation. Start creating value. Stop explaining your vision. Start building it. One day, the same people who questioned your decisions may admire your results. Not because you convinced them, but because you stayed committed when no one was clapping. Remember this: approval is temporary. Respect is earned. Wealth is created. And freedom belongs to the man who no longer needs permission to become who he was meant to be. Thank you for listening. Now get back to work. Your future is waiting.